So we don't actually want to echo out the IP addresses, we just want to use them inside here. So I'm going to create a variable called IP single, and that's equal to each one. So we can use this variable to check whether the user's IP address, which is up here, corresponds to one already in here. So we can say if IP address is equal to, so using our double equals comparison operator, is equal to IP single, do something, otherwise do something else. Now in actual fact we don't need this if-else statement, we just need an if statement, because if the IP address is in there, actually let's think about this logically, if the IP address is in there, we don't want to record the IP. So what we can say is if IP address doesn't equal IP single. So essentially what we're doing is we're looping through this ip.txt file, we're checking if the user's IP address is equal to this one first, and then we're checking if it's equal to this one. Now if it is equal to this one, or if it's not equal rather, we're going to say found equals false. Otherwise we're going to say, come back up here, found equals true. Now the reason we do this is because we're in a loop here, we don't want to increment the value of the count.txt file inside a loop, because if we increment the value of something in a loop, it's going to be performed over and over and over again. So we want to create a boolean value called found, which is going to be equal to either true or false. Then what we can do is under this for each here, we can then say if found equals false, and in here what we can do is increment count.txt value. So let's just test this first of all. We can echo here IP not found, and in the case of the IP address not being found, we can increment the value of count. So let's just test this works. Refresh. IP not found. Oh, it should have been. Okay, so I think the problem here is that we've declared this outside our function. So what we need to do is if we pop this inside of our function, just in there, and we refresh. Oh no. Okay, so let's try and determine the problem with this. Let's echo this out first of all and refresh. So let's have a look inside our ip.txt. That's on the first line there. So we'll go through and debug this carefully. Probably just something that I've completely missed. So echo that out. And that's 127.1.1. So if that is equal to my IP address underscore address doesn't equal IP single, found equals false, else found equals true. Oh, okay, I understand. So if it is found, we need to say, if it's not found, we need to say found equals, oh yeah, false. Otherwise found equals true, and we need to say if found equals true, and we run this, it means our IP address has been found. However, if I was to remove this IP address, we can keep this one and refresh. Oh no. Okay, hold on, let's take another look at this. Let's pop that back in there. So this is probably great that I've made a mistake. You can follow me to see what I've done wrong. So if IP address doesn't equal IP single, found equals false. If found equals false is equal to false. Right, okay, I think I've sort of worked out the problem. Now, I'll tell you why this isn't working first of all. I've had a little look at it, and I've sort of worked out what's wrong. So what's happening is because we're looping through every IP address. First of all, we're going to set the boolean found, the variable found, which is a boolean, to true. And then what we're going to do is yeah, so, okay. So IP address doesn't equal IP single. Let's change this to equals equals, and we'll change this around so it's just easier to grasp. So if the IP address in the file does equal the IP address of the user, then found equals true. So therefore, if found equals true, we want to say already, or we'll just say found for now. So otherwise we want to say false. However, when we go through again, it's going to check the second one and put this to false automatically. We're not keeping the same value of found. Therefore, underneath each one of these, we want to use break. So we're only finding the IP address and then breaking. In fact, we can say false. Keep that as false. That's absolutely fine. So now, if we were to refresh, it says found, because it's found within here. So all break is doing is, if it is found, we don't need any more information, so we're breaking out of this current loop. It's for each here. Okay, so obviously if we were to put a break here and it wasn't found, we'd break out straight away. We want to keep going through the file until it's found. So logically looking at this, I was confused, and you may be at this stage, but just have a good look and try and understand why we break out.